Takadosh, Boker Or, Masechet Kiddushin Daf Amud Aleph 52a1. We were talking about now the case where there was a chidush in the Seifa that basically there were one of the two people which were in Kadesh, they passed away. And each one has a brother. So one of the brothers does chalitza to both of the women, and this one does chalitza to both of the women. The one that only has one brother, and one of them has two brothers. Okay? So basically what happened is he comes and he says, Hechal choletz lishtein, v'ashnaim, and the two of them, one of them does chalitza, and one of them does ibum. Im kadmu v'kansu, if the two brothers came and each one got married to one sister, en motziin otan miadam, so you don't take them out. Dafka michatz, but it's only if they did chalitza and then afterwards ibum. But if they did ibum and then chalitza, it does not work. Because maybe be'emet, he went and he was mi'abem al minato of the other one. And then paga b'yivama l'shuk. And then he got married to Yivama, which is supposed to be, right, as if to say that it was like he's being over and he's surdoraita. Remember like this, they didn't know which one they got married to. You guys remember? There were two people that got married to two women and they didn't know which one they got married to. And then what happened was the one of them died. And then, you've got the brothers. So then what happens is that first they have to make sure that they do the chalitza first and then the ibum. Because if they're going to do the other way around, it's going to become a problem. So Tashema, we learned in the Braita, the Tani Tavyumi, that Tavyumi came and he learned. Lazeh chamisha banim, lazeh chamisha banot. Imagine one person has 5 boys, one person has 5 girls. And he says, so imagine, you've got a guy, he's got all boys. You've got a guy that he has all girls. So imagine right now, chamesh banim, right? So he's going to come to somebody that has 5 girls. And he comes and he says, okay, so one of my sons are married to one of your daughters. Now he didn't say which one. So he didn't say which son. And the other one didn't say which daughter. So what happens? So he says, Kol achat v'achat tzricha chamisha gitin. Every girl needs 5 gets. אבל זה כבר קידושין, הוא עשה קידושין. אחת מבנותיך מקודשת לאחד מבניי. הוא עשה קידושין. Now the problem was, we didn't know which one.
הוא אמר לו כן?
כן, הוא הסכים. So the second that he agreed, now each one of these girls, 5 gitin. Makes sense, no? Because each boy has to give a get. So it means each girl is getting 5 gitin. 1 from each boy. Okay? Met echad mehem, if one of them died, kol echad ve'echad tzricha 4 gitin. So then they need 4 gitin, and then chalitza from one of them. Because once they do chalitza, that's it. The one chalitza works. The chite, man, if you're going to tell me hachinami, so to here, that we're talking about that they knew which girl, and then afterwards they forgot which girl. He says 1 to 1, meaning he didn't specify which one. So tiyufta de Rava, tiyufta. This is actually a good question against Rava, because according to Rava, if you remember, he says that if it's going to be she'ena mesurim lebiyah, it's not going to be good. V'hilchata kavate da Abaye beyal kegam, and the halacha is like Abaye in ya'al kegam, which means we're going to explain this 1 second. When we say that the halacha is like Abaye when he's going to argue on Rava, the siman, when do we pass? That means Rava and Abaye halacha is like Rava. Yes, yotze min haklal. What's the yotze min haklal? Ya'al kegam. What is ya'al kegam? So therefore, the kuf of kegam is kiddushin she'ena mesurim lebiyah. Meaning we paskin like Abaye that even kiddushin which are not mesurim lebiyah is still considered a kiddushin, and therefore that's how we paskin. So we paskin like Abaye. Okay, 2 dots. Nekudotaim. We are numbet amud aleph. Maaseh bechamesh nashim. There was a story with 5 women. Amar Rav says, Shema mina matzlitin arba. We learn from a Mishnah 4 different dinim. Venakat Rav biyadeh tzalat. And Rav took 3 of those dinim. Shema mina, we learn from there, number 1, Kadesh beperot shvi'it mekudeshet. If you're going to get married with perot shvi'it, it's a good kiddushin. Remember, perot shvi'it is efker. It's shmita. So therefore, perot shvi'it, ben adam lokeach perot shvi'it. He takes perot shvi'it and he comes and he does it, it's going to be okay. It's mekudeshet. Number 2, Shema mina, we're going to learn Kiksha begezel. If a person steals and then gets married to a woman with stolen produce, ena mekudeshet, she's not married. Va'afilu begezel dida, even if he steals it from her. Meaning, we're not talking about that he stole from a third party. Afilu ganav mimena, he stole from her. He comes, he takes this from her, and then he says, "Harei mekudesh li bezeh." Also, it's not going to be a good kiddushin. Says the Gemara, how do we know this? Midiktani bezutak, we learned shelahem hayta v'shel shvit hayta, because he said that he got married to her with her produce and from shvit. What does that mean? Tamad shvit. First of all, it's shvit. Ifkeru. It's ifker. Hadishar shnei shavua. But if it was going to be any other type of a year, it's not going to be good. Ushma minan. We also learn isha nasit shliach lechaverta. A woman could become a shliach to her friend, even if she's going to become a tzara to her friend. Do you understand what we just said? A shaliach, a woman could become a shlicha michavera shela. She could be a shlicha, shaliach. Not only that, even in a case where she becomes a tzara, a co-wife, right? זאת אומרת tzarata, עוד אישה, היא עדיין יכולה להיות shlicha. Okay? The idach, and so now what's the fourth one? Because we just learned three things. Number one, kedushat shvit, it's efker, so you could get married with that. The gezel, zelo oved, right? It doesn't help gezel, even the gezel dida. And number three, a woman could become a shlicha, afilu b'makom she tiyeh tzarata, even if she's going to become tzarata. Those are three halachot. What's the fourth halacha? Fourth halacha, v'idach mahi, kiddushin she'en mesurim lebiyah. Right? That if kiddushin she'en mesurim lebiyah, it's not a kiddushin like Rava. So says the Gemara, why don't we mention it? So it says the Gemara, mishum nemesafka le'Abaye or Rava, because we have a doubt. Do we pass it like Abaye? Shemesurim shelo kiddushin shelo mesurim lebiyah. Haim ze kiddushin or not? Or like Rava, that it's not kiddushin. There's a machloket Rava and Abaye. We already passed it like Abaye. Kiddushin shelo mesurim lebiyah ze lo kiddushin. אתה יודע מה זה kiddushin shelo mesurim lebiyah? So the אומרת שתי אחיות. If you get married to two sisters, it's kiddushin, which you cannot have biyah with them, because you cannot have biyah with both sisters. You cannot get married to two sisters. So therefore, kiddushin shelo mesurim lebiyah ze lo tov afilu le'echad mehem. It's not going to be good. Bediuk. Kol עוד שהיא בחיים, you're not allowed to get married to her. So כי סליק רבי זירא, when Rabbi Zira went up to Eretz Yisrael, אמרה לה לשמטה, he said this braita, kamed Rabbi Yochanan in front of Rabbi Yochanan. Amar le, and he said, mi amar Rav hachi? Does Rav actually say such a thing? How could it be that the Rav is going to come and say this? Vehu lo amar, but didn't he say like Rav? Amar Rabbi Yochanan gazal ve'lo nitiyashu baalim. What if the person stole and there was no yush baalim? That means they didn't give up hope. Shnehem enam yocholim lagdish. Both of them cannot be magdish the chefetz agazul. Ze lefi she'eno shelo. This person, because it's not his, and this person is not his reshut. So one more time. Ben adam ba v'hu ganav et ze. Who ganav et ze? Ben adam sheganav, the person that stole it, cannot make it ekdesh. Why? Ze lo shelo. It's not his. Why? Lo nitiyashu baalim. The baalim did not give up hope. But the baalim cannot make it ekdesh. Why can the baalim, the owners, not make it ekdesh? Enam bishuto. Ze lo b'reshut shelem. So therefore, it's not its law. So if it doesn't work. So hachi kamale, this is what he meant to say. Mi amar Rav kavati. Does Rav say like me? So that's what he meant. Does he actually say like me? Which means that not really be'emet, that it's going to be in this case. So they're going to ask the following question now. Kidsha begezel o bechamas o bigneva o shechataf sela miyada v'kidsha mekudeshet. The Gemara asks, how could you tell me right now that if you get married with gezel, it does not help? Here it says that if somebody gets married to a woman with gezel or chamas, chamas is basically that he's forcing the person to buy it against their will. It means they don't want to sell it, but you force them to sell it to you. Gneva or shechataf. So basically the Gemara is asking, how can you tell me that being mekadesh with gezel doesn't work? Here it says mefurash, getting married with gezel, chamas, geneva, or chataf sela miyada v'kitsha, it is mekudeshet. And so the Gemara hata megezel lida, it's her gezel. So says the Gemara, 1 second, hamidiktani seifa shechataf sela mishela, it's mashma that everything else was talking about gezel de alma, because only the last case did it say that he grabbed it from her and then he got married to her with her own money that he stole from her. So therefore, it's mashma only the last case was hers, not in the other cases. So answers the Gemara, Pirush Kamifarish, we're explaining Kitcha begezel v'chamatz u'gneva, Ketzad, for example, Chatav selam yadav v'kichabo, and that's the case. Okay, Numbet amubet, 52b. V'hamatnitin tegezel dida. He says, 1 second, our Mishnah is referring to a case of gezel dida, the Kamar Rav and Mekudeshet. Our Mishnah was talking about that somebody stole from the woman herself, and it's not considered a good kiddushin. So answers the Gemara, it's not a question. Had the shadich, had the lo shadich. Meaning, the Braita that says mekadesh begezel dida is talking about that there was a shidduchin, and since it was a shidduchin mistabra, it's logical that when she accepted it in shtika from that which he went and he stole, she was mochelet on the gezela. But if there was no shidduchin done in between, there's nothing there. Okay, Fine, next. There was a story of a woman. That she was washing her feet in a bucket of water. So there's a story, a woman, she's washing her feet in a bucket of water. A man came, he grabbed the money from his friend, and he threw it to her. And he told her, you're going to be married to me with this money. The woman accepted it. So now the person, the Mekadesh, comes in front of Rava. Amar, he says, let the chash lehader b'shimon. There's nobody that suspects for the b'shimon. The Amar stam gizela yush ba'alim. That stam gizela is considered yush ba'alim, meaning you stole. That's already yush. Kilu that the guy forgets about it automatically. The guy's going to give up hope, right? So therefore, we're going to say that according to Shitat Rabbi Shimon, this case also she's going to be mikudeshet. Why? Because since she accepted the money after the yush, so she's going to be zocha. But since nobody holds like Rabbi Shimon, there's no kiddushin here. Next story. Hahu Arisa, there was a sharecropper, the Kaddish b'moza de Shamche, that he was Mekadesh a woman with a full hand of batzal, right? How romantic, no? He gave her batzal, he gave her onions, not onions, garlic. He gave her garlic and, right? No, onions, yeah, batzal. Shum is garlic, yeah, exactly. So he gave her the onions and he went and he got married to her through that. So Rabbi came in front of Rabbi. Elmaleh, he says, "Manachlach, who was mochel lecha your chelek of the balabait?" That means since there still was not done the chalukah, the division for the sharecropper. Remember, a sharecropper used to work and then he used to take the fruits. So since there was no division done, who was mochel? But that's only we're talking about in a case where he took a handful of batzal. Aval kisha, but if he took a bundle of batzal, matzi Elmaleh, he could say, "Ana shakli kisha, I took one uguda, shakil at kisha, you take another one." Kisha kikisha and one another one, which means that once there's already a division done, so therefore I could say, okay, you took one, I took one, you took one, I took one, and this is mine, and then I could get married with it. Hahu Sarsia, there was a story with somebody that makes beer. The Kaddish befruma de Shichra, that he got married to a woman with the dates which they make the beer. Atamare de Shichra, the master of the beer came, meaning the owner. Ashkechev Amalai, and he told him, Amailo tete mahei charipa. He comes. Beer, B-E-E-R, it's a drink. So he comes and he says, so why don't you give a woman, right? Why are you giving her something which is so spicy, right? He says from the tmanim that they didn't use them yet. They came in front of Rabbi. Amar, he said, Lo amru kelechetz liafot liyan truma bilvad. When do you say that go to the nicer ones all the way by truma? I mean, when you give truma, you have to give the best, la creme de la creme. But if not, you could give any type and it's going to be okay. The Tanyas we learned to the right. How do they say Torem Shalom Midat Truma to Truma? That if somebody's going to be Torem Shalom Midat Balabai, that it's going to be a good Truma. Imagine I go now into your field. I'm going into your field, and I came and I took Taram Shalom Bishut. I took off the Trumot Masot without your reshut. Im Choshesh Mishum Gezel. If there's a problem of Gezel and Truma to Truma, it's not going to be good. But if not, that means there's no problem of Gezel. Truma, it's a good Truma. How do we know if the Balabait is Choshesh because of Gezel or not? If the Balabait comes and he says, you should have taken the best ones. And therefore, we actually understand two ways. Either he was mitkavem birtzinut, that he wanted the best, or maybe he was upset. He says, why, you're taking the best ones? What are you giving the best ones? Right? That means it depends how you say something. Depends whether you're sarcastic or not. That's the question. If there's nicer ones, so trumato truma. And if not, en trumato truma. If the Baalim are coming and adding even better ones, but over here, he's only doing it not to embarrass him, right? And therefore, it's not the Askama Lemafriya, and she's not going to be Mekudeshet, which means here, the guy went and he took the dates and he got married. And the guy comes and he says, why don't you take the nicer ones? Now, really, Be'emet, he just did it because he didn't want the embarrassment. Really, Be'emet, we don't need Kaven, as because it's not going to be a good Kiddushin. We're by the Mishnah on Umbet Amud. Mishnah on Umbet Amud Bet 52b says the Mishnah Kadesh bechelko. If a person is going to be Mekadesh a woman in his chelek, which means that he took from the meat of the korbanot. Ben koche kodashim and kodashim kalim, doesn't matter whether it's koche kodashim kalim. Ena mekudeshet. She's not going to be married because it belongs to Hashem. It's mamon gavoa. But we just have the reshut to eat it. We have the permission to eat it, but really, be'emet, it belongs to Hakadosh Baruch Hu. Maaser Sheni, what happens about Maaser Sheni? Remember, Maaser Sheni is on years 1, 2, 4, 5, and that's the second 10% that we take it and it's ours, and we go to Yerushalayim and we have to eat it inside of Jerusalem. Whether it's going to be Shogeg Mezid, Lo Kidesh, it's not going to be Chala Kiddushin, because it's also Mamon Gavua, and it's not a money of a person. These are the words that Rabbi mean. Rabbi Yehuda Omer, B'Shogeg, it's not going to be Kidesh. B'Mezid, it is going to be Chala Kiddushin, because Maaser Sheni is the money of a person, and therefore he could get married to a woman with this money. Says the Gemara, third case, the Mishnah, uvekdesh, and something which is ekdesh, b'mezid kidesh, b'shogeg lo kidesh. If a person did it b'mezid, he's going to be a good kiddushin. If he did it b'shogeg, it's not going to be a good kiddushin. These are the words that Rabbi mean. Rabbi Yehuda says, b'shogeg kidesh, b'mezid lo kidesh. B'shogeg, if a person does it, it's going to be a good kiddushin, and b'mezid, it's not going to be a good kiddushin. The exact opposite. Now we're going to see in the Gemara what's the svarot. So says the Gemara, Neima Matnitin, why don't we just say our Mishnah is not like the Shita of Rabbi Yosef Galileh? The time we learned in the Braita. Umala Ma'al Ba'Hashem. What does it mean, Ma'ala Ma'al Ba'Hashem? The Rabot Kadashim Kalim. This comes to include Kadashim Kalim. Shen Mamono, which is going to be the money of a human being. These are the words of Rabbi Yosef Galileh. So it comes out that according to the Shita of Rabbi Yosef Galileh, Kadashim Kalim ze Mamon Shelcha. It belongs to you. Now, obviously, our Mishnah is not like him, because we said according to everybody, whether it's Kadashim Kadashim or Kadashim Kalim, ze Mamon Gavoa. It belongs to Hashem. So says the Gemara, no, afilu tema, you could even say it's going according to Rabbi Yosef Galileh. When is Rabbi Yosef Galileh talking about mechayim? Only talking about during the animal that is still alive. But after shchita, he doesn't say that it's going to be anymore, right? Given to the Mongol. My time out's reasoning. Because when they were going to be zocheh, they were zocheh from the Kadosh Baruch Hu, which means once they did the shchita, everything becomes to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and then afterwards becomes given back to the human being that we're allowed to take it. And therefore we could say that our Mishnah is talking about that he was being Mekadesh Mekadashim Kalim, that it's not Mekudeshet. We're talking about after the Shchitat HaKorban, that it's already Mamon Gavoa, and then we were Zocheh from the Mamon Gavoa. Dekanami Diktan, we could also say that this is actually deduced from the fact that says Mekadesh Bechelko, whether it's Kodesh Kadashim Kalim Lo Kidesh. Shema Mina that we're talking about Kadashim Kalim Davka after the Shchita. Okay, next. Tanu Rabbanan, we learned in the Braita. After the Ptira of Rabbi Meir, Amar Rabbi Yehuda Rabbi Yehuda went to told his students, Ali kansu Tamidei Rabbi Meir lekan. I don't want the students of Rabbi Meir here. Imagine Rabbi Meir niftar. After he passed away, Rabbi Yehuda comes and he says, I don't want the students of Rabbi Meir here. He says, why? Because they come and they're mekanter, meaning when you learn, there's a question, I want to learn. Some of them mekanter. I want to disprove you. That's not learning. That's to disprove you. He didn't want that. So he says they don't want to come to learn. They want. So the Chak Sumchus was a Tamid Rabbi Meir. And he came in. Amar lahem, Sumchus went and he told them, Kach shana li Rabbi Meir. This is what Rabbi Meir taught me. Hamkadesh bechelko ben kodeshim 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 lo kidesh. Ka'as Rabbi Yehuda lehem. Rabbi Yehuda was upset at his students. Amar lahem, he told them, Lo kach amarti, didn't I tell you? I told you this already. Why are you letting him in? He said, how could a woman be in the Azara that a person could get her married with Kodesh Kadashim? Women cannot go in Azarat Israel. There's Azarat Nashim. The Azarat Nashim was for the women. There's Azarat Israel. How's a woman there, Bichlal? So what's going on over here? So Rabbi Yosef says, Yomru Meir Shachav Yuda Kaas. Yossi Shatak. He says, Rabbi Yosef said, what's going on here? They're going to see Rabbi Meir passed away, Meir Shachav, Rabbi Yehuda got angry, and Rabbi Yosef Shatak. Divrei Torah matter, what's going to be the he said, well, a person can be mekabel et bito kiddushin azra, and a woman cannot make a shliach to accept her kiddushin and azra. And not only that, what happens if the chkav nichnesa? Right? So that's the question. And what happens if she pushed herself in? Basically, this was actually to show that Rabbi Meir, he was correct in the question and what he said. Why? Because there does exist a few different cases where a woman could get married. This is Azara. Not that she herself came in there. That was the third answer, that she pushed herself in and she accepted it. But the first two was a person accepting it for his daughter or a woman making a shliach. Tanya, we learned in the Braita. Rabbi Yehuda says Mekudeshet. So Rabbi Yehuda says that if a person is going to come and get married with Kodesh Kadashim, she's going to be Mekudeshet. Rabbi Yosef says in Mekudeshet. Amar Rabbi Yochanan says Rabbi Yochanan, Shnehem Mikra Echad Al Shubot, then they learned from the same pasuk. V'zeh yelecha mikodesh Kadashim mina esh. This is going to be from you, from Kodesh Kadashim, from the fire. Rabbi Yehuda says Lecha uchol tzarachecha, for you and your needs. Rabbi Yosef savar kaesh, like a fire. right? Ma'esh lachila, just like a fire, it's something for you to eat. So to here, it has to be something which is miyuchad for you to eat and not for anything else. So that is only eaten by the Kohen. So Rabbi Yochanan comes and he says, Nimnu v'gamru. They went and they stood up and they said, Hamkadesh b'chelko b'kodem kodesh lo kidesh. It's nothing. But Rav Amar adaini machloket. It's still going to be a machloket.